So I can be very clear, ma'am.
Let me ask you a question.
It's a message my voters have given me, and I think as a political person.
Welcome to the fourth edit, and we hope to be discussing some issues of interest with Parliament going into session, and the oaths will be taken tomorrow. So, Professor Sudha Pai, I'd like to start with you. I mean, as a political scientist, 25 years on, we're seeing a single party majority in Parliament after 2.5 decades. Is that going to sort of help parliamentary democracy? Is it going to be a new phase, or is it going to really be a challenge to have a party which has 282 seats, and will we see them walking all over the House?
Well, I think we'll have to wait and see, because we've had large majorities, but those were in the 50s and 60s, and then sometimes also there was in the 80s Rajiv Gandhi's government. This has come after a time when there have been coalition governments which had a lot of problems in Parliament, which did not have a full majority and were dependent on allies. But now, of course, we have a party which has a huge majority. So it depends how they will use it, and whether they will use it to pass good legislation, take the opposition along with them. We hope that that will happen, because it's a very good opportunity to pass a lot of the legislation which is lying not yet done. So it is a very good opportunity for them.
Mr. Tarun Vijay, I mean, for a party which has written so much hope and has put in the best performance ever by the BJP with 282 seats, a historic high for you, are you worried about the opportunity being a burden?
No, we are very much taking it as a challenge also, because this kind of a majority gives us a lot of responsibility also. That we have to prove ourselves that what we said to the people during the campaigning must come true, and that's exactly the message that Mr. Modi has given today while coming to Lok Sabha, first time occupying the treasury bench as a Prime Minister. And I remember that even when Pandit Nehru had such a great majority in the early 50s, he had given all the space to the opposition. Dr. Shyama Prasad Mukherjee was the first industry minister in his national cabinet at the instance of Mahatma Gandhi. And even after he had resigned, after Liaquat Nehru agreement, disagreeing with that, Shyama Prasad Mukherjee became the voice, even if he was in a majority of, minority of two. He became a voice of the entire opposition, and those days we had such stalwarts in the opposition. Shyama Prasad Mukherjee, then we had Ram Manohar Lohia, Acharya Narendra Dev, Jyotirmoy Basu, Pilu Modi, all, and then Atal Bihari Vajpayee, of course. So those were the days when, in spite of Congress having enjoying a great majority, the opposition was very strong, and it was respected. It was a respected opposition. We certainly feel that the Congress must speak out. We must have a strong opposition, even if the number is small. They must be, representing the best of the opposition traditions in the House. Because Congress and BJP are those major parties who have a pan-Indian mindset, pan-Indian outlook. They represent the hopes and aspirations of the country across the boundary lines. So we'll be very much expecting that they keep a watch on the government, and they act as a good opposition, whatever the opposition has to say, criticizing, opposing the government policy, and that will be good for us.
Yes. Your party has just demitted office after being in government for 10 years, and you function with a fairly good, you had more than 200 seats, your party. But what do you see are the pitfalls which a party with 282 seats and the entire NDA is almost 334 plus? So what are the pitfalls you see for your political foes?
I mean, I think it's a little early to talk about pitfalls, but one thing is that when you get a full majority the way you've got, and you have to cross 272 for that. Otherwise, 360, 370 is the next step, and you get a 2/3 majority. But is that, you have no excuses left. So in that sense, it's good for a government, and if a government is willing to, as Tarun ji has said, want to perform, they have a full freedom to do what they wish. And in today's world, where you're getting examined at every step, and the rhetoric lasts only so much as the rhetoric lasts, I think it will be an opportunity for the government to perform the way they want to, and Therefore, it also gives an opportunity for everybody else to see what a majority can do. See, in the past, both in Mr. Vajpayee's government as well as in the Congress government and even in the government era of P.V. Narasimha Rao and the 2-3 governments after that, occasionally coalition politics or coalition pressures were seen to be sometimes thwarting national interests or particular programs or disruptions. Now that may not be the situation right now. I can't say what it will be, but it hopefully would not be the situation right now. So it will give time for a party to legislate, and therefore it will be a clear 5 run for them. And then let's see what happens.
The best part of this government that I perceive will be that not to act as just a BJP majority government, but a government for every single Indian.
How will you
even
do
for
that?
them
No, but
who
I
voted
have
against
say
us,
on that.
even for them who voted against us. That will be the litmus test of the success of Modi government. That because previously we had been seeing that all the academic jobs and institutions and fellowships, even the invites, what I say as creating Gulag and Siberia, even at every news desk, and one ideological section was completely barred. Doors were shut on us.
That is
And
your ideological
that's
section.
That's my ideological
You
section.
seriously mean that, Mr.
I
Vijay?
seriously mean that. I
Where,
have written
for
it on
instance?
in Relief also. My column is there, so I mean it. And everything, I started column in couple of newspapers, and I was opposed not because I was writing trash, because I represented Hindutva. I represented RSS ideology. And people wrote against in the very same newspaper that how the hell this editor is allowing this man to write a column in this newspaper, which is known as a secular newspaper. So secularism means another Gulag and Siberia for us.
Do you buy that, Professor Pai? You're an academician.
I'd like to come back a little bit to the parliament issue. You see, what we are hoping is, after 25 years, there is a party which has got a majority. I think many of us are hoping that Parliament will function better. That there will be less disruptions, there will be no people in the well of the House. Because as an opposition, there were many times when the BJP didn't behave very well either. I mean, then everybody knows that. Maybe in India, oppositions need to make a lot of noise or whatever it is, but there were times when, the opposition simply, the government allowed it to do it. I mean, that's also there. But we are hoping, that will not happen. Secondly, Parliament meets for very few days now. If you compare to the number of days and hours it used to meet in the 50s and 60s, the amount of legislation that needs to be done today is much more. And therefore, I hope Parliament will sit for longer. That is what I am saying is, the return of a single party should bring back some of the better traditions of parliamentary democracy that existed. The 90s were very destabilizing in some ways because of hung majorities and so on, hung parliaments. So that is one thing that the BJP should do. So if that is what you are able to do, then you will be able to, do it for, as you are saying, for every person, whether he voted for you or not, and will win the respect of the people and so on. So where institutions are concerned, I think BJP has a big challenge of resurrecting Parliament, of making it work much better, and of taking it forward from
I'll just
there.
draw you in here, Mr. Dikshit. Professor Pai mentioned about Parliament having been disrupted by a whole lot of things, and the BJP was in opposition then, and Parliament did work fewer, also because the days you sat were fewer. So is that going to get better because they had no class monitors?
I can't say so. It all will depend on how things go.
Exactly.
And if Sudhaji believes that smaller parties may or may not be able to disrupt Parliament, I can't say. See, disruption of Parliament, it does not mean that you necessarily have to have 200 MPs or 150 MPs to disrupt. I think disruption of Parliament, not letting Parliament function and not letting government function very clearly gave a particular impression of a bad government in the past 5 years. Very clearly, the opposition then read that this could be a way of discrediting the government, and I think it's fair game for opposition today to use that same tool as and when that opportunity
Are you going to be
comes.
doing that? Will you
I don't know.
behave like the
I
BJP?
can't say on behalf of my party.
Would you
but
like them to
but
behave
all I
like
can
they
say
did in
is, all I
opposition?
can
It's
say
a
is,
danger.
it's not danger, ma'am. It's a fair game.
It's a strategy
When you
according
as a
to them
when
now,
you as a
current
voter
opposition.
respond to it, then it's fair game.
Voters would like
No,
to
no,
see
ma'am.
a proper parliament, no matter who is in power.
Politics is not in the category of academician. It's how a voter responds to a
Okay,
particular
let me
message.
ask
So I
you a
can be
question.
very clear, ma'am.
Let me ask you a question.
It's a message my voters have given me, and I think as a political
We
personality,
work
all
very
parties
hard.
But would you be happy?
We prepare
No, but
every
we
day
would
for
like
our
to
question
see.
paper, question
No,
answer.
we would like to see For example, have there ever been private members' bills?
Yeah.
Look at how Parliament has functioned for so many years. Question hour is forever disrupted. Look at the way Hamid Ansari reacted to what happened in the Rajya Sabha. I mean, these are not very
But
nice
that is all the
scenes.
opposition's fault, if I may chip in.
Yeah.
What Mr.
Whatever
Hamid
it
Ansari
is,
did.
parliamentarians have not covered themselves with glory. Whether
but
whoever it
let
is.
me just-
We requested him to find fault with the treasury benches also, sometimes at least. But I must respond to you. I fully respect your sentiments. When we went to the parliament first time, we had a great idea about especially about the upper house, that the scholars are there, intellectuals are there, they will be having a lot of good intellectual debates and discussions. But my first initiation into the parliament was only through disruption. Disruption and disruption. The entire week went just to disrupt the parliament proceedings. Why? Because the opposition was pushed to the wall on 2G. If we had not pushed the treasury benches to listen to us, and they were not allowing a full debate on that, we would not have recovered the thousands of crores that were recovered later on, and the minister was sent to jail. So that was also one kind of
It's a
instrument
legitimate
to make,
opposition tactic,
to
is
make
it not?
I agree with you,
government
but
agree.
what I feel is that in India, politics should go a little above that, and there should not be need to do such things.
Anytime.
Okay, Mr.
There should
Dilip,
be a
tell me,
new era
answer
which
this
should
question. Would you be happy if the Congress behaves in Parliament as you did as the opposition?
If we behave as badly as
As well
treasury
as you
benches,
did, as well as you did.
like they did, they were not allowing us on Colgate. The files went missing. Any time, any day that we were trying to hold
One second.
responsible
One
and to
second. See, this
get
is a
it
short debate.
investigated.
Let
It's a short
Tarunji
debate.
not get into
So
details
if
of
we
various
behave
things. Tarunji,
in-
please.
as
I
corrupt
think.
and bad
No,
way,
no. It will be
they have
unfortunate
full
if he
freedom.
gets into details of a propaganda.
They have
So
full
that is
freedom.
something we will need greater time to discuss. All I would say is discuss on the merits of what is being discussed. If you want to talk about 2G and about
The national has seen it.
about school,
But that means
nothing
you'd
is
be
being
happy
seen,
with
sir.
them to behave
I think
as
it's
you
a
did as
different
the
issue.
opposition.
I mean, we'll be happy
That's not a
to
fair thing.
behave an opposition which points out at the fallacies and the mistakes of the government, which criticizes, and we'll be very happy not to behave like them and give them full space to discuss the matter on merits. We will never be shielding those who were responsible for missing
Well,
files.
we'll wait and watch.
Yeah,
That will wait and watch.
Wait and watch.
Mr.
Absolutely.
That
Vijay,
will
sort
wait
of
and
to
watch.
go after you on how the government has behaved, you have a wonderful majority. We were assured of good talent from even outside the immediate political system. But your cabinet did not leave us with, there's really not much talent from outside that has been drawn in. And you needed to bring in an ordinance to have a secretary of your choice, the Prime
That is
Minister.
a very small thing because,
is
you know,
that a
that-
good beginning?
I think it's a very auspicious building because
An
Mr. Modi,
ordinance, Mr. Vijay.
Mr. Modi has an eye for talent and he wants to deliver. You have seen that even before he took oath, he created a worldwide attention, and everyone noticed that how Mr. Modi has invited the SARC leaders. If a person can do that, he can also deliver through the best of the cabinet. The cabinet that we have today, trust it and look how it performs for the next 6 months. And Mr. Nrapin Mishra was one of the best gem, bureaucrats that we could have. There's a small hurdle and that had to be passed, that had to be cleared. There's nothing extraordinary.
So it's not the beginning of an ordinance, Raj.
Not at all. It's the
It's the
beginning,
beginning
of
of
a
a
good,
very, very
people-oriented
centralized
Raj.
and strong PMO.
No, it's the beginning of a merit Raj. Gunamatta.
hope
You
so.
have to recognize the virtues.
That I think
You
is,
have to
we
see.
wish them well. Let's see that.
Thank you. And I'm very sure that Sandeep, us,
No,
can
we
work
are
together
very happy
in
about
the
one
interest
thing
of the
that
country.
no
And they
relatives
should-
are there
All I would say
and
here
so
is
on.
that I'm a firm believer that the role of the opposition is to oppose. Nothing more, nothing less. I
And
mean,
you're
this
gonna do
thing
that.
of co-walkers in a great interest of the nation, I don't think any opposition has ever believed in
We
it,
refuse
would ever
to
believe
be-
to it, and would ever do it.
Sir,
so,
we-
I mean, let's not get into...
We refuse to be your B team.
Fair
and
enough.
we will expect
Fair enough.
you will not be our B team.
That's quite
Fair enough.
feisty.
Fair enough.